and it also has studs. So it's like a cross between a boot and a running shoe. So for your big heavy guys, particularly when they're training and they've got things like calf and Achilles problems, or there's a lot of overpronation, this midsole stiffens up the boot, lifts the heel, and can make a big difference to the potential to develop injuries. So, managing rugby players, you do have that option. They were developed with podiatrists in Australia, I think, originally, those boots. So even if they only wear them just for training, it can mean the difference between settling an injury down or it getting worse. Right, so we start to get on to some of the less common sort of things. Think about ankle support and the type of footwear that might have ankle support. Walking boots, basketball, where you're jumping up and landing and you don't want the ankle to become unstable. Another one which you may not have thought about, boxers. They have boots that lace up quite high on the shin, give them a stable platform, I would assume. And you could put skiing down as well, but I was sort of keeping that as a sort of separate one because it's a bit of a specialised one. But there are lots of types of footwear that do have ankle support. And if you think about walking boots, these are fantastic because the whole principle of a walking boot is that it's fairly stiff, it's got ankle support, tends to only bend across the MP joints. You've usually got loads of room because people normally wear a thick sock with them, so you've got that extra room if you need it. Usually an insole that will take out and allow you to replace your orthotic with it. So walking boots, from our point of view, because we see lots and lots of pronators, have all the features that allow us to, it isn't an issue getting an orthotic into a walking boot. Right? So that's the sort of thing that you want. So most of these you can get, these boxing boots are a bit flimsy and lightweight, and there's not much to them. So
there's some plays basketball.
Yeah.
And they're £160.
Are they?
The latest
Good
ones.
heavens.
Yeah, but it's just the too bulky underneath, too much
Right.
cushioning.
Right. So, walking boots, if you get involved with walkers, you will not have any problems getting whatever you want into a walking boot there. Yeah. If we look at skiing, very specialised. You've got the boot that looks something like this, right, where the foot's held at in a dorsiflex position like that. They'll often open at the back, to what the better ones do, so you can get access to it. They also usually have a sort of neoprene sleeve that lines the inside of the boot as well, which can be taken out. And they've got various clips to tighten the boot in various places like that. And the issues with these type of boots is they're made out of plastic, and one of the problems, if you've ever been skiing, if you're skiing all day, if your foot is out of alignment, one of the things that can happen is obviously the foot changes shape, if it's not perfectly aligned. So if you're a pronator, for example, your medial malleolus and your navicular could be pressing on the boot. So at the end of the day, you feel quite crippled because your bones are bruised, and you feel like you want to get in the jacuzzi or something to ease the sort of pain, that type of thing. So it's a big science fitting boots, and you can get them made to measure and all this type of thing. But it's quite complicated when you start thinking about putting orthotic devices in here, because they're quite difficult to get round the corner. You've not got much room in there, and but you can make big differences, because if you think about it, if you're stood like this with your knees slightly bent and you're very pronated, you're going to get too much of an inside edge on the ski. So if you're skiing along with an inside edge, it's easy to catch on a rut of ice or something like that, and you'll just go and the skis will come off. Now the opposite is true. If you're a supinator on the outside of the skis, you tend to straighten the knees, and that's the worst thing that can happen to you. It usually happens when you're panicking because the slope's too steep, which is the last thing you should do, because you should be leaning into it, but you go like that, and of course what happens is you get an outer edge and you can't control anything, and you just go like that, so you've gone. So it's quite a science controlling the foot to alter the edging patterns of the skis so that you get a balance. So you really need to know quite a bit about it before you get involved, or be a skier yourself to appreciate the actual ins and outs of it. Big business in the ski shops as well. You know, they'll have people making orthotics, you know, sort of systems, and they often have a little back workshop where they can do little modifications and things.
I know someone who's just paid £500 for a pair.
There you go.
And they've been moulded. He was having them moulded. They mould them in the shop for him.
Yeah, they have a system called, I think it's called a CDAS system, and it's like 2 bags of beads with an air supply connected, a vacuum